Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're here in Midwest Kayak Company here in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. We're in southeast Missouri, so if you're ever in the North Arkansas, Missouri area, even Illinois in the surrounding area, or you're just looking to take a drive, come by and see us here. But what you see behind me, this is the Native Hammer. So we're going to go bow to stern over this, go over some of the features. Stay tuned to the end of the video. We'll go over some pros and cons, just some things to look out for, and who this kayak is for, and maybe who this is not for. Okay, starting here at the bow. First thing I notice when I look at a Native is the handle. So it's got a really nice comfort grip handle. That's also a reinforced gear track, which is going to be utilized in a lot of your motor mounting plates as your front attachment point. You've got these little threaded bolts. When you remove those, you're going to have those brass threaded inserts. Moving back from that, you've got your power link plates. So these are going to be, you've seen these on the old Titan X's. These are a true through-hole wiring capability, so you can remove those. You're going to be able to see into the hole. You're not drilling into the hole. You're just drilling into the plate. Really useful, really thoughtful setup, in my opinion, because those are replaceable. You can buy those really cheap from Big Adventures. And so if you start out as a bow mount guy and then you turn into a stern mount guy, you can easily just replace that plate, get back to that stock look. Now getting back to the hatch, a huge, huge hatch on the Hammer. So again, you've got that rubberized gasket around the lid that's going to prevent a lot of that water from coming in. I don't consider it waterproof. No hatches on a kayak are really going to be waterproof, but just know there are steps being taken from the raised lip of the opening to the gasket to even the drainage gunnels on the edges here. Looking inside the hatch, you've got a little gear bucket that they do include stock from the factory, which is really nice. But you've got plenty of room to store additional gear inside the hull if that's your thing. But also think about like your yak power modules, your live scope modules. You're going to be able to have those away from the top side of your kayak, of course. Moving further back, you're going to have your battery storage. So plenty of room for a 12-volt, 100-amp-hour battery. You got the strap that can go over the top of it to hold it in place. You got your power link plate. Again, that's the second one we've got on the tip of this boat to run your wiring into the hull, a neater installation. And you got a nice little rubber strap to hold your wiring kind of a lot more organized and a neater setup there. So I really like the utilization of the space here on the hatch. You still got plenty of room in the through hull there to store bigger items. You know, some of them are pretty small. So you've got kind of the best of both worlds there with your battery storage, but you're still able to access inside the hull. Moving further back, again, you've got another link plate here. Again, that's 3 link plates in the first third of the boat. So you got plenty of customized options. You got a spot here for the captain's bridge where you can mount your graphs and then run that wiring through there. So the biggest difference in this kayak compared to other Native brands is the X-Range propel drive. So you've got this little plate here. This plate is a lot different. It's more of a hatch, so you can bring it up. It's going to have that gasket, and it's going to be a little bit more of a waterproof version than just the older plastic plate that was held on by bungees. You do have a little storage compartment here. Again, nothing big, but it's going to be really good for those smaller items that you just want to keep handy here. And just a simple wheel turn. Again, it's going to bring that up to where you can bring the drive itself up. And then the drive folds down. And then this is going to be a lot better space utilization. So those of you that want this to stand up and fish from, which, let's be honest, most fishing kayaks that you're going to want to be comfortable standing up in. So stability is what you would expect from a native. This is going to give you a lot more room to stand up, to walk around on, and when you want to get back to it, you've got almost like an accordion style arm there to where you can just put it back down. But really, really nice setup. Some of the features of this drive is a little different than just the old style Propel drive. Now the Propel drive you're seeing still on the Titan X model. It's still as quality as ever. That you may start seeing some of these on some future models, I suspect. But I really like what they've done here. It just takes the same quality drive, gives you a lot more space on your deck. So when you get to your spot, you're anchored down, or you just want more room, that's going to do that for you. So I really, really love that. Just a neat idea on an already good setup there. Another thing I noticed about this is the raised deck. So the deck is definitely sits higher than, say, the Titan X. It's a lot less of that deep dish style. This is going to do a lot of things, but one, it's going to give you better stability, but it's also going to give you a drier deck. And that's been kind of one of the biggest complaints maybe with a lot of anglers, especially if you're running that bow mount option where all your weight is in the front, is you start collecting a little bit of water on the front. Having that deck up higher is going to get rid of that to an extent. Obviously, depending on how much weight you're going to be putting on the front of that is going to tell how much of a trouble that's going to be. But really, most of the reviews I've seen have been positive on the water on the deck so far. You have some pass-throughs here as well. Again, this is going to be wiring for if you're doing your displays on the side instead of doing the bridge, the captain's bridge up here. Tackle storage here with the little bungee straps. Again, that's pretty standard as far as past models. And of course, you have the Millennium style seat, the swivel seat. So 360 degrees of swivel in addition to the stability in a native watercraft. That gives you the ability to fish multiple directions without having to worry about your boat position so much. Okay, so moving to the back half of this. So I talked about the seat. You do have a left-handed rudder control on this. So those of you lefties that were hoping for ambidextrous, again, you do have to, that is something to kind of consider if you are a lefty and you just don't like that on the left side. That is not interchangeable, but just know that it is what it is. Majority of kayaks out there are going to have that left-handed control there. Moving the seat up, you just have one knob on each side to loosen to move that seat forward and backward. The slide on the track is pretty nice. You're not getting caught up on those screws. It's kind of what I would call a deep channel track that it slides on. So there's a lot of kayaks out there that utilize that shallow track, and sometimes the bolts from the knobs are going to get caught on that. You don't really get that on these, but it does catch sometimes if you get the seat a little crooked there. Another thing too that they add on the seat is the little slide out tray. Now they have that on the Titan X series. You're seeing a kind of the similar version of that on the Hammer. The thing that I really love about this kayak though, other than the updated drive setup, is the battery storage. So you have an enormous hatch here and a huge, huge tank well for your batteries. So this is going to carry two Group 31 batteries. And again, where it's positioned in this kayak is phenomenal to me. So you want that battery toward the middle, regardless of, it gives you the freedom to run both a bow mount or a stern mount and not have to worry about where your battery is located. Same thing as the hatch. You've got a little bit of that raised lip. You've got that little foam gasket that goes around it to kind of keep that as dry as possible. Got your locking wheels on 4 corners to kind of keep it in place. And then moving to the back here, it's a native kayak. So you have a huge, huge tank well. I'm talking about like your 16 by 16 Black Pack Pros. Those of you that like to run a battery box, you're going to have a pretty good amount of room. I'm not sure, depending on the size of your setup, if you'd be able to do both of those at the same time. But again, they give you an in-hull battery storage for that reason. You do have the scupper plugs that do come with this kayak. And to me, the scupper plugs from Native are great. They're kind of ribbed. It really kind of fits in there nicely and gives a really good seal. And they're pretty easy to take out there. But especially if you're running a motor setup, if you're going to be getting quite a bit of speed out there, it's good to have those scupper plugs so you're not having water churn up in there. In the back, you've got your, again, it's the same setup as usual. You've got your drop-down spring blade rudder, and then you've also got your rudder control wheel. This is where you can kind of tighten and make those adjustments to your steering cables for your rudder control. And you got another link plate, again, for your stern mount. If you're running power pole back there, anything like that, you can run your connector to there, and then that gives you that really good disconnect, quick on and off, especially if you're hauling it to and from the boat ramp. You've got the same 4-bolt pattern there in the middle for your motors, and then you also see you've got 4 bolts there as well, or 3 bolts and the gear track for your power pole, your stake, setups there. So essentially you could, if you're into that, run your motor with your dual power poles on this. But again, personal opinion, I always felt like that was a little bit overrated of a setup. You do have a lot of Yak Attack gear on this. You've got the little mighty mounts. So if you wanted to mount additional accessories, you do still have what we call the taco clips. These are your paddle holders. So if you want to have like a paddle setup, which I definitely suggest, should something happen with your motor or even your drive while you're out there, at least it gives you some kind of propulsion, but you can split the paddle in 2, have them both on the sides there, and then should you need it. Okay, so here's the bottom of the boat, and I'll show you some shots here just to kind of panning around that, just to kind of give you a little bit more of a sense, but definitely a smoother bottom than you're used to on a Native. And you can see really nice setups, especially with the scupper plugs, or is this, with the scupper holes. This is gonna decrease your drag a little bit here, but just really, you can also see the gunnel in the middle. This is gonna help with your tracking. Obviously it's a pedal drive kayak with a rudder, but your performance matters. But you can definitely see where the speed comes from that they advertise from this. Is this kayak was really, what makes this different than say the Titan X? This is gonna be a lot more of a performance kayak. So that's meant to be motorized, obviously, or just pedaled, but it's gonna give you a lot more speed. And think of it this way, speed in a kayak is efficiency. Think about gas mileage. Think about the energy that you're putting out to move that kayak at a certain speed. It's the same thing gonna be with your motor. How much energy is that motor gonna have to do just to get it to move? Obviously, the less resistance you're getting, you're more efficient on your motor, you're gonna get a better speed, but also think about your battery too. But really, really nice setup here. Again, I'm a big fan of that spring blade rudder that they do. You can use it in the up position and the down position. You're gonna get a better performance in the down position, obviously. But if you're in some shallows, bring it up with your pull cable, and you can still do, like, some of you that have been Native guys for a long time, remember that was all you used to have, is that one rudder that would just be up. But really, really nice setup. Again, I would suspect that this wouldn't paddle very badly either. I wouldn't want to paddle a Titan X, granted, because that's a big, heavy kayak. This one here, I see really skimming across the water a lot easier. All right, guys, so that's the Native Hammer. Again, pros, speed, stability. Let's be honest, it's a Native kayak. You expect stability, but you're gonna get a great performing kayak on the water. It's gonna skim across the water. You're gonna get less resistance. That's better motor performance. And if you're just pedaling it, let's be honest, not all of us are in the best shape. It's gonna be music to my hips and knees, knowing that I'm not gonna have to work my rear end off just to get this across the water. Great new drive setup. Just some small changes to an already proven drive system maximizes your space on the deck. Maybe you want to motor around, and then when you get to your spot, use this as your trolling motor. Move it around, play around your boat position. You're going to be able to do that really, really nicely with this. Cons, and again, I'm nitpicking here. It's a Native. It's a heavy kayak. This is a trailered kayak to me. It is a longer kayak, so again, depending on what kind of truck or bed extender setup you got, just some things to consider. We all get excited about a lot of the feature-rich kayaks out there, but just know, pay attention to your boat weight on the kayaks like this and how you're going to be transporting them. Other than that, guys, it's kind of what you would expect from native. If you're a native guy, you're going to absolutely love this. If you're not much of a native guy, it's going to be more the same to you. I like the room on it. I like the open space. I like the raised deck on it. That's going to give you a drier ride. And I'm always a performance guy. I'm always going to want to know how, obviously we all like stability, but how well does this move through the water? And this is going to be really, it's an additional step in the right direction, in my opinion. So go check out the Native Hammer. You can get it right here at Midwest Kayak Company in Southeast Missouri. If you're down for a road trip, great shop, great space here. But as always, thank you so much for watching the video, and we'll see you on the next one.